Hi guys, I hope you're having a great night so far. So tonight guys, we are going to discuss the Anunnakis, okay, the origins. So I decided to divide the subject because there's like a lot of information. So right now guys, we're just going to discuss about the origins of these Anunnakis. Okay guys? So let's start this, okay? Let's get right to it. Now guys, before anything, we have to start explaining that the star system is always making, like a star system, guys, our star system is always making a circular rotation, taking as its axis the sun of Alcyone in the Pleiades. Okay, guys? Now, our solar system is constantly moving in the cosmos and in the form of a spiral, turning upwards to get closer and closer to the sun of Alcyone in the Pleiades. Okay, guys, which is above our sun. Now, guys, when these Anunnaki came, our entire solar system was in another geographical location due to this rotation, which was carried out through the cosmos. Okay, guys, so when these Anunnakis, when these beings came, we were within the constellation of Orion. Okay, and this is really important. Now you're gonna start to see why. Okay, so due to this gravitational shift already mentioned, in actual days, guys, like right now, we have already crossed the border of Orion, and we are currently in the constellation of Taurus. Now, part of the current administrative hierarchies are part of the constellation of Taurus. Okay? Now, let's start talking about these Anunnas, not Anunnakis yet. Okay, hold your horses. I'm going to explain you why. Now, we're going to start talking about these Anunnas, this term. Okay, the Anunnas are beings descended from the Kadistu race of the Anu family. The word Kadistu, guys, means aligned with the genetics of the creator. Okay, that's it. So the Anu family, which are a part of a family of like a generation, 7 generations of geneticists, they are geneticists as well, who they belonged to a race called the Ushungal. Not the race, but genetically speaking. Okay, so they had the Ushu genetics from Orion, and they had Abgal genetics of Sirius. Okay, guys, and they were 7 descendants of. They had 7 descendants of that Anu family. Okay, so this Anu family, like Anu and his brothers, they are the last descendants of this family, okay, of these Anunnas. Now, let's remind ourselves that this family, they lived back in the day in Lyra, okay, inside the Lyra Vega system, which is located in the northern quadrant of Bellatrix, okay? Now, there was a time when there was a great galactic war started by these draconian or negative polarity reptiles that attacked this area. Okay, so they started to attack this Lyra and Vega system for a reason. Okay, because in this place was the first place where the Christ consciousness, the Michaelic consciousness, these Kadistu beings that had the same format as our creator, God, source, or the universe, or Nebadon, I'm going to start calling him Nebadon, Nebadon is just the title they use out there in the universe to describe our Creator. Nebadon, the title means explandon, which is the expansion of the light of the Spirit. Okay? Why is he being called like that? Because in our universe, that's the software that we are supposed to work, that we are working. Okay, guys? Now let's super quick recap. These draconian or reptile races were not created by our Creator. Okay? They were created by a previous creator that was in our universe. Guys, if you are not getting this information, I would suggest you to go to I don't know if it's the seven bestowals. I think it's in the seven bestowals where I start explaining these things, okay, guys, like in a deeper sense. So let's go back to these Anu families, okay? So these Anu families, okay, they were in this system of Lyra and Vega, okay, along with other beings that were started to be created with this light of the spirit genetics, okay? So then the draconians, these reptiles from the negative polarity, they started to see that these beings were going to be created, were created. So they started to go and attack the whole system of Vega and Lyra. Okay, these predatory races dropped quark plasma bombs, producing black holes that sucked off the matter. Okay, guys? So what these beings wanted was to exterminate the beings of this Christed Michaelic or Kadistu lineage, okay? Consciousness, however you want to call it. So, now, on the parallel, there was a commander, a master geneticist, who was a commander as well, called Toranque. Okay, this commander was part of the master geneticists that started to create these Michaelic races. Okay, so this commander, guys, comes with his fleet of starships and he starts rescuing all of the beings that were there. Okay, guys, that these beings, especially these beings that had this Michaelic template or Christ consciousness template of unconditional love, this genetic of our Creator. So among the Kadistu families that were there was the family of Anu. Okay? So he rescued them all, and this commander dropped them in the Pleiades. Okay? Now, this family of Anu, they were dropped here, in a planet called Nibiru. So this was like a different atmosphere, this was like the different pressure, it was like a different environment. So remember that they are master geneticists. So they started to adapt to this new home. Okay, guys, so they had more like reptile, like vessels, because they had to endure the atmospheric pressure, from the place that they were before, close to Lyra and Vega. Okay? So they started to, to take, because they had like tails, so they took their tails off, and they started to add their energy centers or these chakra formats. Okay? And they started to adapt to this new place. Okay? Now, the hierarchies of Sirius, okay, made Anu like the administrator of this planet called Nibiru, okay? Since he and his family, by using their genetic skills, were going to populate it, okay? Populating the planet called Nibiru was part of the agreement, okay, to these Anunnas. That's when they started to call themselves Anunnas. Okay, guys? Now the Anunnakis is the people right now, well, back then, that was living in this planet called Nibiru. Okay? Now, everything, they were populating it, blah, blah, blah. Then, guys, they are brought to this constellation of Orion, okay? They're inside this constellation of Orion. Now, the Orion War starts to hit. So these draconians, these reptiles, they are like, where did these guys go, they saved them and they rescued them and they took them here. Okay, let's go and, attack them again. Okay? So they started to attack the whole thing, guys, especially the zone of Tuvan where they were located. And they continued attacking the beings that were rescued. Okay? Now we have another war again. Okay, guys? Surprise, surprise for our Earth programming, right? So now these guys lose the battle, to these draconian beings, and then they started to board the ships because their starships, this Anu family and these Anunnakis, they started to board their ships because they're like, this is going to shit. Pardon my French, okay, guys, but this is going to shit, like, let's go, guys. So they board their ships, okay, guys, and they start to see, that these draconians were attacking everyone. They destroyed planets, and among the planets they destroyed, like the atmosphere especially, was the planet, their home planet called Nibiru. Okay, completely destroying its atmosphere. So the Anunnakis, Anu's family, was homeless. Some of the Anunnakis went in inner Nibiru. Okay? So some of them were like rescued, but above, they started to board ships, and then the other ones, they were like dead, they were killed. So Anu's family was completely homeless. So now, in parallel, we have our creator, Nebadon, God, source, or the universe. Okay, I'm going to use Nebadon because that's the title that our creator has in the universe, which means the light of the expansion of the spirit. Okay, guys, I'm not making words out there, So our creator, God, source, the universe, in this case Nebadon, we're going to use that word, sends the directive to start a Kadistu, a Michaelic, a Christ consciousness race to be created. Okay? That is when the project, the Homo sapiens project, arises, of which we all are part of. Okay? Now, at that time, Nibiru was a planet belonging to the Pleiades. With the quark bombs that the Draconians dropped, they ejected the planet from Nibiru, they ejected the whole planet of Nibiru, taking it out of the Pleiades and moving it into the Nemesis system. Okay? Excuse me, that's why a lot of people say like, oh my gosh, but they're part of the Nemesis system. Yes, first they were not. But then after these bombs and these warmongering, they moved, the planet moved completely, okay, due to this destruction. So now the family of Anu, they were finding themselves in ships, and they started to, coincidentally, guys, the Confederation of the Galactic Confederation, they were like, okay, I think we can work this out, okay? Because the planet Earth, on its surface, was being assembled to adapt the Nebadon project for the creation of the Homo sapiens. Not any Homo sapiens, like a Michaelic race that we are right now, guys. Okay? We have the genetics of our God source and the universe, our creator. Okay, guys? Now, let's start rounding this up, okay? So, a guy, let's put it like that in common sense, a guy which was like, who had the authority in Sirius, named Hashirion. He's like I don't know how to explain it, well, this guy who has a lot of titles up there, who has the authority, because Sirius is, let's remind ourselves that Sirius, it's a constellation where all the universities, the spiritual universities, are at. Okay, so Hashirian, he being a figure of authority in Sirius, tells them that they have to support, if they want to live on Earth, they have to support the creation of the Homo sapiens with this Kadistu code. Okay? So they said, like, well, they didn't have a choice. So they were like, okay, let's do this. So 450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki, these Anunnas, start landing here, So they were supposed to help this project that our creator asked for, but they needed help, they needed gold to extract from Earth in order to repair the atmosphere in Nibiru. So this Hashirian guy, the Confederation, and the Anunnas, they were like, okay, we have to reach an agreement. So that was the agreement, okay? You can extract the gold, but you have to help out to create this project, because you are master geneticists and you have this Kadistu code as well. Okay? So they were like, okay. And before landing on Earth, Anu went to Sirius. He started to work on other projects, blah, blah, blah. And he met like a feminine energy, because they are, like a feminine master geneticists. This is like, like they got the word on the street. Okay, so a little bit of gossip here, okay, guys? So this guy Anu met this Amasuntu, okay? Amasuntun means assembler of life, okay? So this female master geneticist, they met, and he was like, okay, like, I don't know how that worked over there, because they do not reproduce by, by the womb, by like we do, okay? They reproduce themselves by cloning themselves and tampering with their genetics. So that's when Anu started to clone himself using these Amasuntuns, these Amasutuns genetics, and he used his, and he started to create his first son, which is called Enki. Okay, guys? He then afterwards created another son, which is really important in this story, because that son, his name is Enlil. Okay, guys? I'm going to board all those things in the part 2. Okay, guys? So now these guys, Anu didn't really, wanted to do this project. So he was like, you know what? That's why he started to create children. Because he was like, you know what? I'm going to leave my children to do this. I'm tired, I lived through war, and he was like, okay, So his children were supposed to create these Homo sapiens spiritual, let's call it like in simple terms, okay? A spiritual race, okay? And they were supposed to administrate this race, okay? So that's where we're gonna live right now, guys. So they came here to Earth, he had his Enki and Enlil as well. And Enki's mother was here as well, came here as well. Okay, guys? And afterwards, Enlil was created, which is really important in this story, as we're going to follow through in the next video. Okay, guys? Because this is a lot of information. So, guys, I'm going to see you in the next video, where we're going to dive right into it. Okay? And we're going to dive into analyzing data in a neutral standpoint. Okay? In a neutral standpoint. Because yes, some of the groups of these Anunnakis started creating this destruction. They united forces with the negative polarity, and they started to create a whole mess. But others were like actually helping. Okay, so not all of them were from the negative polarity. Okay, so let's start changing that mindset. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna see you in the next video. Okay, guys.